Imagine a cold morning. The alarm rings, your eyes feel heavy, and your body longs to stay under the blanket. In that moment, there are only two choices: surrender to comfort, or force yourself to rise and face the day. This is the beginning of an invisible battle that determines the quality of our lives. Discipline, Stoic philosophy, carried through the words of Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca, teaches us that true freedom is not the ability to do whatever we want, but the power to rule over ourselves. Discipline is the highest form of freedom. Without it, we are slaves to laziness, desires, and impulses that weaken us. With it, we become masters of our own fate. Epictetus once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Think about that. If every day we give in to instant desires, eating without control, sleeping without limit, delaying work, avoiding responsibility, our lives spiral into weakness. But if, step by step, we force ourselves to act against comfort, we build strength. We shape the soul and the body into something unbreakable. Discipline is not about comfort. It is about purpose. Those who chase comfort never grow. Just as iron is forged by fire, human character is forged by struggle, laziness, fear, hesitation. These are the flames we must endure. If we run from them, we remain fragile. But if we stand firm and act in spite of them, each day sharpens our character, making us more resilient. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, wrote each morning in his meditations, "Today, you will meet ungrateful, arrogant, deceitful, envious, and selfish men. But they cannot harm you, for you were born to work together with them." Even the most powerful man in Rome had to remind himself to practice discipline, not to be ruled by emotions, not to be dragged down by the chaos of the world. If an emperor required discipline to face life, how much more do we? Discipline also means saying no. No to wasted time. No to destructive habits. No to thoughts that weaken us. Yet it equally means saying yes. Yes to hard work. Yes to patience. Yes to courage when fear appears. Discipline is the art of choosing what strengthens the soul, not what weakens it. Many people think discipline is a burden. In truth, it is a gift. The undisciplined are prisoners of circumstances. The disciplined command their path. The lazy are tossed by every wave, while the disciplined set their own course. Freedom without discipline is an illusion. Picture two roads, one lined with ease, ending in emptiness, the other full of obstacles, ending in meaning. Which road would you take? The Stoics remind us, memento mori, remember that you must die. Life is short. Every moment wasted in laziness is a moment gone forever. That is why we must force ourselves to live fully, with intention, not drift mindlessly. Discipline is not built in a single night. It grows from small acts each day, waking up early, finishing tasks, caring for the body, guarding the mind. Each small act is a brick, building a fortress inside us. Today may be difficult. Tomorrow may still be difficult. But as time passes, you will notice you have become stronger. And when life's storm strikes loss, failure, pain, the disciplined do not collapse. They may bend, but they do not break. They have trained themselves to endure. This is the essence of Stoicism, not to avoid suffering, but to stand unshaken in its midst. So, the next time laziness whispers in your ear, when the mind tempts you to surrender, remember these words. Force yourself to be more disciplined. Not because the world demands it, but because your soul depends on it. Discipline is the road to freedom, to strength, to a life filled with meaning. Discipline is not something others can hand to you. It cannot be bought, borrowed, or inherited. Discipline must be forged within you through choices, through actions, through persistence. Each decision you make in the quiet moments when no one is watching is what defines your strength. Think of a soldier training before battle. He does not prepare when the war has already begun. He trains in the silence of the morning, in the exhaustion of the night, in the repetition of drills that seem endless. Why? Because when the storm comes, only preparation saves him. In life, you are that soldier, and discipline is your armor. Without it, you will collapse under the weight of the first trial. With it, you can endure storms that would destroy others. The Stoics remind us that life will never bend to our desires. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Discipline is how we claim that power. When the world refuses to go our way, when people disappoint us, when fortune turns against us, our discipline keeps us upright. It is the anchor in chaos. But discipline is not just about grand struggles, it is hidden in the smallest details. It is in the choice to rise at dawn instead of staying in bed. It is in the decision to read instead of wasting hours on distraction. It is in finishing the task you promised yourself, even when no one else will know if you fail. These small victories are not meaningless. They are bricks in the foundation of your character. Ignore them, and the structure collapses. Embrace them, and you build a fortress within. Many dream of success, but few are willing to endure the path that leads there. They want results without the grind, mastery without practice, wisdom without reflection. Yet the Stoics understood, nothing of value is gained without effort. To be free, you must first chain yourself to discipline. This paradox is at the heart of all greatness. By limiting yourself, you discover true power. By denying yourself comfort, you gain strength. By choosing the harder road, you build the life others only dream of. Consider the athlete who trains while others sleep. Consider the writer who writes while others waste time. Consider the thinker who reflects while others distract themselves. Their greatness is not a matter of luck. It is the harvest of discipline, sown day after day. And yet, discipline is not cruelty. It is not punishing yourself endlessly. It is guiding yourself with wisdom. It is saying, "I will do what strengthens me, not what weakens me." Discipline is an act of love for your future self. It is a gift you give to the person you will become. The Stoics use the phrase, prohairesis, the ruling faculty, the inner will. Discipline is the training of this faculty. When your desires clash, when your emotions roar, when your instincts betray you, discipline allows the ruling part of your mind to take command. Without it, you are tossed like a ship without a rudder. With it, you become the captain of your soul. Ask yourself, who do you want to be a year from now? 5 years from now? 10? That person is shaped today, in this moment, by whether you rise or give in, whether you choose strength or surrender. Discipline is the thread that weaves your future. And when death comes, and it will you look back with regret that you lived as a slave to comfort? Or will you face the end with peace, knowing you lived with purpose, with strength, with self-mastery? That choice is being made right now, in how you live each day. So force yourself, not because the world demands it, but because life is short, and your soul longs for meaning. Force yourself to wake, to act, to endure, to grow. Force yourself to stand tall when the storm comes. Force yourself to live with discipline. For discipline is not chains, it is wings. And with it, you will rise above weakness, above fear, above the fleeting noise of the world, into a life of true freedom. Daily Stoic practices for discipline. Discipline is not theory, it is practice. The Stoics were not armchair philosophers. They were men who lived amidst wars, slavery, politics, and hardship. Their philosophy was meant to be lived, tested, and proven. So how did they train themselves in discipline? What can we, centuries later, learn from them? Morning reflections. Begin with intention. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, began each day by writing in his journal. He reminded himself of what awaited him: difficulties, selfish people, challenges. This was not pessimism, it was preparation. By confronting reality before it struck, he armed his mind against disappointment. For you, this could mean starting each morning with a brief reflection. Today, I will face challenges. I will feel tired. I may feel tempted. I may meet people who frustrate me, but I will not be ruled by them. I will rule myself. Such a practice, simple but consistent, builds a disciplined mind, ready for battle. Physical training, discipline of the body. Epictetus, once a slave, taught that the body is a tool to be trained, not indulged. He warned against chasing luxury, urging instead the embrace of simplicity. To practice discipline, you don't need to climb mountains or run marathons. Start small. Wake at the time you set, not later. Exercise when you promised, even if you don't feel like it. Eat only what your body needs, not what your craving demands. Each act of restraint is a reminder, I am stronger than my impulses. When you deny yourself excess, you gain control. When you choose effort over ease, you strengthen your will. Control of speech, discipline of the tongue. Seneca advised, most men quarrel with circumstances, yet never with themselves. Much of life's disorder comes from undisciplined speech. The Stoics practiced silence, measured words, and patience in conversation. Try this. Before you respond in anger, pause. Before you gossip, remain silent. Before you speak, ask, is this necessary? Is this kind? Is this wise? Training the tongue is one of the hardest disciplines, but one of the most powerful. Evening review, the daily audit. At night, Stoics like Seneca practiced a review of the day. They would ask themselves, what did I do well? What did I do poorly? How can I improve tomorrow? This habit turns discipline into a cycle of learning, not punishment. Imagine ending your day not with distraction, but with reflection. Write down the moments you overcame laziness and also the moments you failed. In failure, do not despair, use it as fuel. Each day becomes a lesson, each night a reset. Voluntary discomfort, training for hardship. The Stoics also practiced something unusual: voluntary hardship. Seneca would sometimes sleep on the floor, eat plain bread, and wear simple clothes. Why? To remind himself that he could endure poverty if it came. By choosing discomfort, he made himself unafraid of it. You can practice this too. Take cold showers. Fast occasionally. Walk instead of driving. Turn off distractions. These small acts are not torture. They are training. They teach you that comfort is not a necessity, but a luxury. And when hardship truly arrives, you will not panic, you will be ready. The power of consistency. Discipline is not a single heroic act, but the quiet consistency of daily effort. One push-up will not make you strong, but daily exercise will. One journal entry will not transform your mind, but daily reflection will. The Stoics knew that greatness is built, brick by brick, day by day, through the relentless practice of discipline. Epictetus told his students, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. Why? Because discipline often looks strange to the undisciplined. They will mock your choices, your routines, your restraint. But remember, discipline is not about pleasing them. It is about mastering yourself. Modern application, your own Stoic discipline. Today's world is full of distractions. Social media, endless entertainment, constant noise. Never before has it been so easy to lose control of time and attention. To live with discipline in this age is to rebel against distraction. So begin small. Wake when you say you will. Exercise when you promise yourself. Work before you rest. Speak less. Reflect more. Practice voluntary discomfort. And every night, ask yourself, did I live with discipline today? Over time, these small practices will carve strength into your character. You will notice a shift. Life's storms will not shake you as they once did. Temptations will not enslave you as they once did. You will feel a quiet freedom, not because life became easier, but because you became stronger. Discipline, mortality, and the meaning of life. There is a phrase the Stoics repeated often: memento mori, remember that you must die. At first, this may sound dark, even morbid. But to the Stoics, it was not a curse. It was a call to live. For when you remember death, you remember the urgency of life. Think of how easily we delay what matters. We tell ourselves, I'll start tomorrow. I'll try later. One day, I'll change. But days become weeks. Weeks become years. And suddenly life has slipped through our fingers. Memento mori cuts through that illusion. It whispers, you do not own tomorrow. You only have today. What will you do with it? Discipline, then, is the natural response to mortality. If life is short, wasting it on laziness, distraction, and weakness is the greatest tragedy. To live with discipline is to live awake. It is to honor the limited time you have been given by using it well. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do, say, and think. Imagine if you carried that thought each morning. How trivial would your excuses feel? How foolish would procrastination seem? Would you still waste hours in distraction? Or would you rise and live with intention? Memento mori is not about fearing death, it is about fearing a wasted life. The Stoics did not run from mortality. They embraced it as a guide. Death is not the enemy. The enemy is forgetting how precious life island. And so, discipline becomes the bridge between mortality and meaning. Without discipline, time slips into nothingness. With discipline, every hour is shaped into purpose. The man who disciplines himself lives twice, once in action and again in memory. Picture this. Two men face death. The first spent his life chasing comfort. He lived for pleasure, avoided hardship, and never challenged himself. In his final breath, regret fills him. He wonders, what could I have been if only I had lived with strength? The second lived with discipline. He worked, endured, grew, and shaped himself into something greater than comfort. At the end, he feels no regret. He has lived, truly lived, and can let go with peace. Which man do you wish to be? The Stoics urge us to choose now, while we still breathe. Discipline ensures that when death comes, we are not caught unprepared. We will not beg for more time, because we will know we have already used the time we were given. Seneca wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." Think of those words. Life is long enough for greatness if we stop wasting it. Discipline guards us from waste. It is the art of saying, "This moment will not be lost. I will use it." But discipline is not just about work. It is also about rest, about reflection, about knowing when to pause. It is choosing meaningful rest over meaningless distraction. It is journaling instead of scrolling, meditating instead of mindlessly consuming. It is valuing silence as much as action. Memento mori teaches us balance. Work with discipline, rest with discipline, speak with discipline, love with discipline. For all of it will end. Every word, every deed, every relationship is finite. When you see this, you no longer live carelessly, you live deliberately. The Stoics did not avoid joy. They cherished it more deeply. Because they knew it was fleeting. They laughed. They loved. They embraced beauty. But with discipline, never excess. In this way, discipline is not denial, it is appreciation. By disciplining desires, you taste joy more fully. By disciplining time, you live more vividly. So when you hear memento mori, do not shudder, smile. For it is the greatest gift, a reminder that life is precious, and you are alive now. Force yourself to live with discipline, so that when the end comes, you will not whisper, if only. You will stand tall and say, I lived as I should. Discipline is not about chains. It is about freedom, the freedom to live without regret. Mortality gives it urgency. Philosophy gives it direction. And your choices give it power. Discipline of emotion, the Stoic path to inner peace. Many people think discipline is only about the body waking early, working hard, exercising. But to the Stoics, the higher discipline was of the mind and heart. What good is waking at dawn if your spirit is ruled by anger? What good is working tirelessly if envy poisons you? True freedom comes when your emotions serve you, not enslave you. The Stoics never denied emotions. They felt joy, sorrow, frustration, even fear. But they trained themselves never to be dominated by these feelings. Seneca wrote, "A man is as miserable as he believes himself to be." This was no exaggeration. Our suffering often comes less from events and more from the stories we tell ourselves about them. Anger, the fire that burns its owner. Epictetus reminded his students, "When you are offended, it is not the event itself that disturbs you, but your judgment about it. Consider this. When insulted, your heart races, your blood boils. But is it the words themselves that hurt, or your decision to take them as an attack?" Discipline means pausing. When anger rises, breathe. Ask yourself, will this matter in a day, a year, a lifetime? Almost always. The answer is no. The insult is smoke, it burns only if you let it into your lungs. The disciplined man walks away with calm, leaving the angry to burn alone. Fear, the phantom enemy. Fear paralyzes, yet most of what we fear never comes to pass. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "He suffers more in imagination than in reality. How many nights have been lost worrying about tomorrow, only to find tomorrow was gentler than we imagined?" Discipline is refusing to bow to fear's illusions. It is saying, I cannot control tomorrow, but I can act today. Instead of shrinking from uncertainty, the Stoic walks forward, step by step. The unknown does not terrify him because he is trained to endure whatever comes. Desire, the endless hunger. Unchecked desire is slavery. The world tells us we must have more wealth, more pleasure, more recognition. But the Stoics warned, he who is not content with little will never be content with much. Discipline is learning to say no, not because joy is forbidden, but because endless craving destroys peace. The Stoic eats to nourish, not to indulge. Works to serve, not to boast. Loves to give, not to possess. In choosing limits, he finds contentment. In restraining desire, he discovers freedom. The practice of emotional discipline. How do we practice this today? Start with the simplest exercise. Pause before reaction. When anger comes, count to 3 before speaking. When fear whispers, write down the worst-case scenario, and you will see it shrink. When desire tempts, delay your decision. What feels urgent today often feels foolish tomorrow. Journaling, too, is powerful. Each night, write your emotional battles. I was angry at this. I feared that. I desired this. Then reflect. Did these serve me or enslave me? Over time, you will see patterns. And with patterns, you gain control. Discipline creates tranquility. Why pursue this emotional discipline? Because the reward is tranquility. Imagine a mind that is not tossed by every insult, not chained by every desire, not drowned in every fear. Imagine being unshaken while the world storms around you. That is the Stoic goal, not the absence of feeling, but the mastery of it. A river flows strong when its banks guide it. Without discipline, emotions flood and destroy. With discipline, they become strength, energy, passion channeled to purpose. Anger becomes courage. Fear becomes caution. Desire becomes ambition. Modern chaos. Ancient solution. In today's world, emotions are constantly provoked. News designed to enrage. Social media designed to addict. Marketing designed to inflame desire. To live without discipline now is to be at the mercy of forces that profit from your weakness. But discipline remains the shield. When anger spikes from a headline, breathe and ask, is this under my control? When fear rises from uncertainty, act on what you can today. When desire is stirred by endless scrolling, step back and remember, enough is enough. The Stoics survived wars, plagues, and exile. If they could discipline their minds in chaos, so can we. Discipline of emotion is the highest mastery. It is what turns storms into silence, chaos into clarity. To force yourself to discipline not just your body, but your mind, is to claim the greatest freedom of all, peace. Discipline as the highest freedom. At first glance, discipline looks like chains, rules, restrictions, denials. Why would anyone choose such a life? The undisciplined look at the Stoic and think, he is not free. He denies himself pleasures. He refuses indulgence. He is a prisoner of his own rules. But the Stoics understood a deeper truth. Without discipline, you are not free. You are a slave to your impulses, to your fears, to your desires. A man who cannot say no to laziness is not free. A woman who cannot resist distraction is not free. The one who must obey every craving of appetite, anger, or greed is in chains far heavier than any iron. Seneca wrote, "No man is free who is a slave to his body." Think of that. What kind of freedom is it if you cannot control yourself? The undisciplined may shout, "I can do whatever I want," but in reality, they cannot stop themselves. They are dragged by impulses, like a puppet on strings. The paradox of restraint. Here lies the paradox. By restricting yourself, you gain control. By saying no, you become stronger. By choosing the harder path, you discover that you are no longer ruled by weakness. This is not prison, it is liberation. Consider the musician. To master his art, he disciplines himself with endless practice, denying ease. Is he less free because of it? He is more free to create music, free to express beauty that the undisciplined can never touch. Consider the athlete. He restrains his diet, his habits, his sleep. Is he imprisoned by these rules? Number. He is free to run faster, jump higher, endure longer. Discipline opened doors that chaos could never unlock. The same is true for the soul. The one who disciplines his mind is free from anger, free from greed, free from envy. He may not indulge every impulse, but in return, he owns his life. Freedom misunderstood. Modern culture often confuses freedom with indulgence. Do what you want. Follow your feelings. Don't deny yourself. But this is not freedom. It is surrender. When every whim dictates your actions, when every craving becomes a command, you are not free. You are shackled to desire. The Stoic view is radical. True freedom is self-mastery. To govern yourself, to command your own thoughts and actions, to rise above impulse that is liberty. A man with discipline is unshaken by temptation, unbroken by hardship, unbent by fear. He moves through life with sovereignty, a ruler of himself, discipline, and purpose. Freedom without purpose collapses into emptiness, but discipline channels freedom into meaning. When you master yourself, you are free not just to resist, but to create, to grow, to give. Think of Epictetus. Born a slave, he had no external freedom. Yet through philosophy, he gained inner freedom greater than most emperors. His body could be chained, but his mind was his own. That is the power of discipline. It creates sovereignty no tyrant can touch. Marcus Aurelius, emperor of Rome, ruled millions, yet constantly reminded himself to live with restraint, simplicity, and humility. Why? Because he knew that power without discipline corrupts. Authority without self-control is just another form of slavery. Practical freedom through discipline. How can you taste this paradox in daily life? Start small. Discipline of time. Choose how you spend your hours. Do not let distractions steal your day. In doing so, you gain freedom over your schedule. Discipline of desire. Learn to live with less. When you need little, you are rich. No marketer, no trend, no temptation can own you. Discipline of mind. Train your thoughts. Refuse to be dragged by anger or fear. Then, even in chaos, you remain free. These acts of discipline may feel like limits at first, but soon you will see. You are not losing freedom. You are gaining it. You are no longer a prisoner of impulse. You are no longer enslaved by weakness. You are free. The highest freedom. The Stoics would say, the man who conquers himself is mightier than the man who conquers a city. And they are right. External freedom can be taken. A government, a prison, a misfortune, all can strip away liberty. But self-mastery cannot be stolen. It is the highest, purest form of freedom. So when you force yourself to live with discipline, remember you are not chaining yourself. You are breaking chains. You are not losing freedom. You are claiming it. You are not denying life. You are choosing to live it on your own terms. Discipline forged in suffering, the Stoic strength. Life is not gentle. No matter who you are, suffering will come, loss, failure, betrayal, illness, hardship. Many try to run from pain, to numb it with distraction, or to deny its reality. But the Stoics taught a harder, nobler path. Face suffering with discipline, and it becomes your teacher, not your master. Suffering as training. Epictetus, once a slave whose body bore the scars of cruelty, taught his students, difficulties show what men are. In suffering, the undisciplined collapse. They curse, they panic, they surrender. But the disciplined endure. Hardship reveals their strength. Discipline is like armor, forged long before the battle begins. When you rise early, when you control your appetites, When you restrain your tongue, you are not just living neatly, you are preparing. Each act of discipline is a weight lifted in the gym of the soul. So, when life strikes, you do not fall. You stand. The fire of adversity. Seneca compared adversity to fire. The weak are consumed, the strong are tempered, like steel in the forge. Without resistance, without trial, the sword remains brittle. Only when it endures the flame does it gain strength. So it is with us. The disciplined person does not seek pain, but he does not fear it. He understands. This, too, is part of life. Let it come. I will meet it with strength, choosing endurance. Pain will whisper, "Give up. Stop trying. It's not worth it." But discipline answers, "I will not be broken." Each moment of endurance carves resilience into the soul. Think of Marcus Aurelius, emperor yet plagued by wars, betrayals, and sickness. He could have indulged in despair, but instead he wrote, "If it is endurable, then endure it. Stop complaining." These were not empty words. They were his practice. He faced the chaos of empire with the calm of discipline, practical Stoic endurance. How do we apply this today? Start with the small discomforts. When work feels heavy, discipline says, "Do one more step." When tiredness tempts you to quit, discipline says, "Push a little longer." When sorrow weighs the heart, discipline says, "Do not collapse, stand," even if trembling. By enduring small trials, you prepare for greater storms. Each time you refuse to surrender, you write resilience into your being, transforming pain into purpose. The Stoics did not merely endure, they transformed suffering into wisdom. They asked, "What can I learn from this? How can this shape me?" Betrayal teaches the discipline of trust carefully given. Loss teaches the discipline of gratitude for what remains. Poverty teaches the discipline of simplicity. Illness teaches the discipline of patience. Thus, suffering is never wasted. Discipline turns every wound into a lesson, every hardship into a teacher. The strength others feel. A disciplined soul does not only endure for himself, his calm becomes a refuge for others. When storms rage, people gather around the one who does not panic. His strength steadies the weak, his courage inspires the fearful. In this way, discipline creates not just personal resilience, but communal strength. Think of a leader who does not lose composure when everything falls apart, or a parent who remains calm when the family suffers, or a friend who listens quietly instead of exploding. These are Stoic acts of discipline, and they ripple outward, giving others courage to endure. Pain will come, freedom lies in response. You cannot choose whether suffering comes, but you can choose how to meet it. The undisciplined are dragged like slaves, screaming. The disciplined walk like free men, steady. Pain may still cut, but it cannot conquer. This is the heart of Stoic strength. You do not control life, but you control yourself. And when you master yourself, even suffering bows before you. Discipline in relationships, Stoic balance with others. The Stoics knew that no person lives alone. Even the most disciplined mind must walk among others, family, friends, strangers, even enemies. And here, discipline is tested not in silence, but in the noise of human interaction. Love with discipline. Love is powerful, but without discipline, it becomes possession, jealousy, or obsession. The Stoics did not reject love, they embraced it as part of life. But they warned, love others deeply, but remember, they are mortal. This was not coldness, it was clarity. To cling as if love could last forever is to invite despair when death or change arrives. But to love with discipline is to cherish every moment fully, without illusion. When you hold a friend, a lover, a child, you whisper to yourself, "This may be the last time, So let me love well, without attachment, without fear. Discipline teaches us to love freely, without chains, giving rather than grasping, serving rather than demanding. In this way, love becomes pure, untainted by selfishness. Friendship with discipline. Seneca wrote often about friendship. He believed a true friend is a second self. Yet even friendship must be guided by discipline. Not every companion is worthy of your soul. The Stoics warned against being shaped by the undisciplined, those ruled by greed, anger, or vanity. Discipline in friendship means choosing carefully. Walk with those who lift you, who remind you of virtue, who live with purpose. And once chosen, remain loyal. Discipline guards against betrayal, gossip, or neglect. It reminds you to be slow to anger, quick to forgive, steadfast in loyalty. Conflict with discipline. The hardest test of discipline comes in conflict. Insults, betrayals, disagreements, they provoke the wildest emotions. Most lash out, returning anger with anger. But the Stoic restrains himself. Epictetus advised, "When someone does wrong, remember, he acts from ignorance of what is good." The disciplined man sees beyond the insult to the weakness behind it. Why waste your peace on the ignorance of another? Discipline in conflict does not mean weakness. It means strength, the ability to control your response, to fight when necessary, but never out of rage. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." Family and duty. In family life, discipline is essential. Children test patience. Parents make mistakes. Spouses fail. Without discipline, homes collapse into chaos. But with it, they become schools of virtue. Discipline means guiding children firmly but with love, respecting parents even when flawed, and choosing forgiveness over bitterness in marriage. It means fulfilling duty not because it is easy, but because it is right. The discipline of speech. Words are the sharpest weapons in relationships. A careless word can wound deeper than steel. The Stoics urged restraint. Let your speech be simple and honest. Discipline teaches silence when tempted to gossip, calmness when tempted to shout, honesty when tempted to deceive. With such control, relationships grow in trust and respect, compassion, without weakness. Some mistake Stoicism as cold detachment. But true Stoic discipline is full of compassion. To see others as fellow humans struggling, flawed, mortal is to grow in patience and kindness. Yet compassion must be disciplined, or it becomes enabling. The Stoic helps, but does not indulge. He supports, but does not lose himself. Modern relationships. Ancient lessons. In today's world of constant noise, social media arguments, shallow connections, endless distractions, Stoic discipline is more needed than ever. To love deeply, yet without fear of loss. To choose friends wisely, not by likes but by virtue. To meet conflict with calm, not rage. To speak carefully in a world of careless words. These are the practices that build not just strong individuals, but strong communities. Discipline in relationships is not about control, it is about balance. To give without losing yourself, to love without chains, to forgive without weakness. The Stoic does not withdraw from people, he engages with them fully, but always with mastery of self. Time, the Stoic discipline of life's most precious resource. Among all the gifts of life, the Stoics believed none was more valuable than time. Wealth may be regained, possessions replaced, health sometimes restored, but every moment lost is gone forever. Seneca warned, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." The illusion of endless time. Most people live as if time were infinite. They postpone dreams, neglect relationships, indulge in distractions thinking tomorrow is guaranteed. But the Stoics called this the greatest folly. Each day may be the last. Each hour may be the final chance to live with purpose. Discipline, then, begins with awareness. Life is short, and time is slipping. To waste it on trivialities is to squander the only true wealth you possess: time and distraction. In the ancient world, distractions were gossip, games, and idle chatter. Today, they are glowing screens, endless scrolling, shallow noise. The form has changed, but the trap remains the same. Hours vanish, and we wonder where life went. Discipline demands vigilance. The Stoic asks, "Is this use of time worthy of my life? Does this moment bring me closer to virtue, to wisdom, to meaning?" If the answer is no, he steps away. He reclaims his minutes as a miser guards his gold, scheduling with purpose. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, lived under constant demand: armies, politics, betrayals. Yet in his meditations, he reminded himself, "Do not waste the remaining part of your life in thoughts about others, when you are not referring to something of common utility." He carved space each morning to reflect, to align his mind. Even amidst empire, he disciplined his schedule. For him, time was not to be filled, but to be ordered toward what mattered. We too can practice this. Morning intention. Begin with reflection. What will make this day meaningful? Focused work. Choose the essential task and give it your best. Guarded leisure. Rest, but do not drift. Choose activities that restore, not ones that hollow. Evening review. Ask yourself, did I live today with purpose, or did I waste it? Saying no, the discipline of boundaries. Much of wasted time comes not from laziness, but from saying yes to everything. Invitations, obligations, meaningless conversations, they devour hours. Seneca counseled, "People are frugal in guarding their personal property, but as soon as it comes to wasting time, they are most lavish of the one thing in which it is right to be stingy." Discipline means learning to say no, not rudely, but firmly. Each no to the trivial is a yes to what matters. The weight of mortality. The Stoics often reminded themselves of death not to despair, but to sharpen their sense of urgency. Memento mori was a discipline of time. By remembering life's fragility, they focused on living fully now, not later. Every wasted day was a theft from the self. Every disciplined day was a treasure earned. To live with this awareness is not gloomy, it is empowering. It makes each sunrise a gift, each conversation a chance, each breath a miracle. Practical time, discipline. How can we reclaim time today? Limit consumption. Cut endless news, gossip, and shallow entertainment. Prioritize depth. Invest hours in reading, creating, learning, bonding. Guard mornings. Begin the day with discipline, not distraction. Rest wisely. Sleep enough, but not in excess. Leisure should refresh, not dull. In doing so, time becomes not an enemy slipping away, but a companion walked with wisely. The freedom of time well used. To discipline time is to discipline life. The undisciplined may boast freedom, but they are poor, squandering their days. The disciplined may seem strict, but they are rich, investing in what endures. As Seneca said, "Life is long, if you know how to use it." Time is the currency of existence. Discipline guards it, invests it, multiplies it. To waste it is to die before death. To discipline it is to live before life ends. Work as discipline, crafting virtue through labor. For the Stoics, work was never just about survival or wealth. Work was a stage for the soul, a training ground for virtue, a way to contribute to something larger than the self. To approach labor with discipline was to transform the ordinary into the noble. Work as a test of character. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, "At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, 'I am rising to do the work of a human being.'" He saw work not as a burden, but as the natural duty of a rational being. The undisciplined see work as punishment, something to avoid or escape. The Stoic sees it as training. Every task, every challenge, every effort is an opportunity to practice patience, focus, and resilience. discipline against laziness. Laziness whispers, but discipline answers, now is the moment. To delay work is to waste time, to shrink from responsibility, to betray the self. Seneca warned that procrastination steals life itself. The disciplined mind resists this theft. He rises, he begins, he perseveres. The craft of excellence. Stoicism teaches, do every act of your life as though it were the last. This means not rushing carelessly, but performing each task with care, as if the universe itself were watching. The blacksmith forging iron, the farmer tilling soil, the writer shaping words, all can practice excellence. Not for applause, not for wealth, but because discipline demands it. To do less than your best is to betray your potential. Work as service. Discipline in work is not selfish. It recognizes that labor is part of the web of humanity. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "What is not good for the hive is not good for the bee." Your work is not yours alone. It serves the whole. The Stoic does not waste energy complaining about duty. He embraces it. A soldier protects, a teacher guides, a worker builds, a leader stewards. To serve through work is to fulfill the human calling. Facing hardship in labor, work is rarely easy. Obstacles, unfairness, exhaustion, they test resolve. Here, discipline reveals itself. When others quit, the disciplined continue. When others curse, the disciplined endure. Epictetus, once forced to serve, taught, "Seek not for events to happen as you wish, but wish for them as they happen." Applied to work, this means, do not wish for an easy path. Wish for the strength to walk the hard one. Every difficulty at work becomes a chance to grow tougher, wiser, more resilient. Simplicity and ambition. The Stoics did not chase wealth or fame through work. They pursued virtue. Discipline keeps ambition from becoming greed. It reminds us that recognition fades, riches vanish, but character endures. To work with integrity, honesty, and dedication is the greatest achievement. It may not always bring fortune, but it always builds the soul. Practical Stoic discipline in work. How can we embody this today? Begin promptly. Start tasks without delay. Conquering procrastination. Focus deeply. One thing at a time, with full attention. Pursue quality. Do it well, even if unseen. Serve others. Ask, how does my work help the greater whole? End with review. Reflect on what was done and how it can be done better tomorrow. Through these habits, work becomes not drudgery, but a workshop of virtue. The dignity of labor. No task is beneath the Stoic if done with discipline. Whether leading armies or sweeping floors, what matters is not the status of the work, but the spirit brought to it. Discipline transforms any duty into a noble act. Work is not punishment, it is purpose. The disciplined do not shrink from it, they embrace it, shaping not only the world but their very souls through labor. In every act of disciplined work, the Stoic leaves behind a mark not just on stone, paper, or earth, but on eternity.
Discipline of desire, freedom from the chains of pleasure. Desire is natural. To hunger, to thirst, to long for comfort and joy, these are part of being human. The Stoics never denied this truth, but they also warned, he who is not content with little will never be content with much. For the Stoics, desire without discipline becomes slavery. The one who cannot stop eating, who cannot resist indulgence, who cannot live without constant pleasure, such a person may appear free, but is in chains. His master is his appetite, the trap of endless want. Look at the world around you. Advertisements scream, more, bigger, faster, newer. Every desire is inflamed, every craving magnified. And yet, has anyone found peace by feeding endless hunger? The more you consume, the more you want. The cup of desire never fills. Seneca observed, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor." Desire without discipline makes even kings into beggars. discipline as the cure. The Stoics practiced restraint not to deny joy, but to savor it rightly, to enjoy wine, but not to drown in it, to appreciate comfort, but not to depend on it, to love wealth, but not to worship it. Discipline transforms desire into servant, not master. The disciplined man eats when needed, but does not worship food. He enjoys comfort, but is not destroyed without it. He seeks pleasure, but only when it aligns with virtue. Voluntary simplicity. Seneca trained himself with voluntary poverty, wearing simple clothes, eating coarse bread, sleeping on the ground, not because he despised wealth, but because he refused to fear its loss. Ask yourself, could you be content with less? Could you live simply and still smile? The one who can answer yes is invincible. Pleasure may visit, but its absence does not destroy him. Desire and freedom. The paradox of desire is clear. The more you chase it, the less free you are. The more you discipline it, the freer you become. The Stoic does not aim to kill desire, but to master it. He chooses what is fitting, rejects what is harmful, and walks steadily in balance. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, if you seek tranquility, do less. Or more accurately, do only what is essential. In this, discipline means not scattering energy, chasing endless wants, but focusing on what truly matters. Pleasure as a test. The Stoics did not run from pleasure. They tested themselves with it. Can you enjoy wealth without arrogance? Can you taste sweetness without greed? Can you love deeply without possession? Pleasure itself is not evil, but the undisciplined turn it into poison. The disciplined learn moderation. They take what is offered, but never cling. They savor, but never depend. They enjoy, but never worship. Modern applications. Today, discipline of desire is more urgent than ever. Technology, entertainment, consumption, all are designed to enslave the will. To live stoically is to rebel, limit consumption. Buy what you need, not what you crave. Moderate indulgence. Enjoy pleasures rarely to keep them sharp. Practice denial. Choose at times to go without, to prove you can. Seek virtue over luxury. Measure life by wisdom, not possessions. The reward of contentment. What does this discipline bring? Contentment. The undisciplined are never satisfied. The disciplined are always rich, for they have learned to want less. Epictetus taught, wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. A man who desires little is free. A man who masters desire is king. Discipline of desire is not denial, it is liberation. It frees you from chains of endless craving. It gives back peace, balance, and joy. It lets you live not as a slave of appetite, but as a ruler of yourself. Discipline of anger, mastery in the midst of conflict. Of all emotions, anger burns the fastest and destroys the most. A single spark of rage can undo years of labor, shatter relationships, and stain reputations. The Stoics saw anger not as strength, but as weakness, a fire that consumes the one who carries it more than the one it targets. Seneca wrote an entire treatise on anger, warning that it is a brief madness. To surrender to anger is to surrender reason, the very essence of being human. Anger as slavery. Many excuse anger as natural, but the Stoics asked, natural for what? For beasts, perhaps, who bite when provoked, who lash out when threatened. But for humans, endowed with reason, anger is not necessity, but failure. The undisciplined boast, I say what I feel. I let my anger out. Yet this is not freedom. It is enslavement to impulse. The disciplined man feels anger rising, but does not bow to it. He chooses response, not reaction. The Stoic pause. The first practice of discipline in anger is the pause. Before the word is spoken, before the hand is raised, before the decision is made, the Stoic waits. In that pause lies power to breathe, to count, to reflect. Will this matter tomorrow? Will this action serve virtue? Am I ruling myself, or am I being ruled? Marcus Aurelius counseled himself. When you are offended, it is not the offense itself that harms you, but your opinion of it. The Stoic reframes, perhaps the other is ignorant, weak, or troubled. Why give them power over your mind? Seeing through the provocation. Epictetus taught that others' actions are beyond our control, only our judgments belong to us. Insults, betrayals, injustices, they sting, but only because we grant them power. The disciplined mind asks, is the harm real or only in my perception? Often, anger fades when we see it clearly. The insult is just sound, the betrayal just an event. They do not define us unless we let them. Discipline in conflict. Conflict is inevitable between nations, families, colleagues. But anger need not rule conflict. The Stoic faces disputes with reason, not fury. He argues firmly but calmly. He defends justice but without hatred. Seneca observed, the greatest remedy for anger is delay. To act in haste is to err. To wait is to see clearly. Discipline does not mean weakness. It means strength, guided by wisdom. Transforming anger, the Stoics did not seek to erase emotion, but to transform it. Anger can be reshaped into courage, into justice, into energy for good. Instead of lashing out at injustice, the disciplined works to correct it. Instead of raging at adversity, he endures it. Instead of striking back at enemies, he seeks to rise above them. Modern practice of anger. Discipline. In today's world, anger is everywhere, on roads, in offices, on screens. The Stoic practice is urgently needed. We can pause before reacting, delay words and actions until reason returns, lower the voice. Calm tone diffuses fury, both ours and others. Reframe offense. See insults as noise, not wounds. Act, don't react. Channel energy into solutions, not explosions. Practice forgiveness, not for the offender's sake, but for our peace. The strength of calmness. It takes little strength to strike in anger. It takes immense strength to remain calm under attack. The Stoics admired the warrior who could stand unshaken, the leader who could rule without rage, the man or woman who could endure insult with dignity. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, the best revenge is not to be like your enemy. Anger is easy, discipline is rare, but he who masters anger masters himself. In the midst of provocation, the disciplined mind remains free, unburned, unbroken. The fire of rage may consume others, but the Stoic walks through flames untouched, for he has forged calmness into armor. Discipline in suffering, turning pain into strength. Suffering is not a possibility in life, it is a certainty. Illness, loss, betrayal, poverty, disappointment, no one escapes. The Stoics never promised a world without pain. They promised a way to endure it without breaking. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. The Stoic discipline in suffering begins here. Pain is inevitable, but misery is optional. Pain as a teacher. The undisciplined see suffering only as curse. They complain, they despair, they seek escape. But the Stoic asks, what can I learn here? How can this pain shape me? Epictetus, who was once a slave beaten by his master, said, do not pray for life to be easier, pray to be stronger. His body was injured, but his mind was unbroken. He turned chains into training weights, misfortune into discipline, hardship as training ground. The soldier does not grow strong in comfort, but in battle. The body is not built by ease, but by resistance. So too with the soul, hardship is its gymnasium. Seneca declared, "Fire tests gold, adversity tests the brave." Discipline teaches us not to run from trials, but to meet them head-on. Every wound, every loss, every failure is proof that we are alive and an invitation to rise. The discipline of acceptance. Much suffering multiplies because we resist it. We say, "This should not happen. Why me? Why now?" Yet the Stoic replies, "Why not you? Why not now?" To accept does not mean to enjoy pain, but to acknowledge it as part of the order of the world. To fight what cannot be changed is to suffer twice. Once from the event, once from our resistance. Acceptance, then, is discipline, the refusal to add suffering to suffering, transforming suffering into virtue. Suffering itself is not virtue, but it can produce virtue if met with discipline. Pain can produce patience. Loss can teach gratitude. Betrayal can reveal wisdom. Hardship can forge courage. The Stoic does not waste suffering. He converts it, as the alchemist turns base metal into gold. The modern face of suffering. Today, suffering often comes not from war or famine, but from anxiety, stress, and disappointment. Yet the discipline is the same. When overwhelmed by failure, remind yourself, this is training, not ruin. When enduring illness, ask, what strength of spirit can I build here? When facing rejection, reflect, does this define me or refine me? Every hardship is raw material. Discipline is the craftsman that shapes it into strength. Daily practices of enduring discipline. Small discomforts, cold showers, fasting, physical exertion, train the mind to bear. Mental rehearsal. Imagine loss or difficulty, so when it comes, you are not unprepared. Reframing pain. Instead of, why me? Ask, for what purpose? Gratitude in hardship, even in loss. List what remains. Silent endurance. Complain less, endure more. The dignity of endurance. There is beauty in calm suffering. A man who smiles through hardship, a woman who remains kind in grief. These are Stoic portraits of greatness. Their discipline shines brighter than comfort ever could. Marcus Aurelius, facing plague and war, still wrote with serenity. Seneca, condemned to death, met it calmly. Epictetus, crippled, still taught joy. Each proved, suffering is not end, but passage. Suffering unmasks us. It reveals whether we are slaves to circumstance or masters of ourselves. The Stoic does not deny pain, but disciplines it, turning weakness into resilience, despair into meaning. The storm will come, but discipline ensures that when it passes, we are still standing, stronger than before. Discipline of speech, the Stoic power of words. Words are among the most powerful forces in the human world. They can heal or wound, build or destroy, inspire or corrupt. The Stoics understood that to master speech was to master one of life's greatest powers. Seneca wrote, "Speech is the index of the mind. Our words reveal our discipline or our lack of it." The danger of undisciplined speech. An uncontrolled tongue spreads chaos. Gossip destroys trust. Lies shatter reputations. Anger poured into words leaves scars deeper than steel. The undisciplined speaker says whatever he feels, whenever he feels it, believing this to be honesty. In truth, it is slavery to impulse. The Stoics warned, once spoken, words cannot be recalled. An arrow may miss, but a word always lands. Discipline means guarding the lips as carefully as the mind. The Stoic ideal of speech, Epictetus, advised his students, "Let silence be your general rule. or say only what is necessary, and in few words. For the Stoics, good speech had three marks: simplicity, no empty ornament, only clarity; truth, no deception, no exaggeration; usefulness, words that serve, not harm. The disciplined speaker does not seek applause, but understanding. He does not seek to dominate, but to enlighten. Silence as discipline. Silence is not weakness, it is strength. To hold the tongue when provoked, to listen before answering, to pause before replying. This is discipline in action. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." A life guided by this principle is free of regret, for nothing is wasted in empty words. Practical habits of speech. Discipline. Pause before speaking. Ask, is this true? Is this necessary? Is this kind? Speak less, mean more. Value quality over quantity. Avoid gossip. It weakens both the speaker and the listener. Use calm tone. Even in disagreement, let reason, not rage, guide the voice. Practice listening. Discipline in speech begins with discipline in silence. Speech as service. The Stoics saw speech not just as personal expression, but as service. Words should lift others toward virtue, not drag them into vice. They should clarify, not confuse, heal, not harm. A Stoic in conversation asks, will these words help? Will they lead to wisdom or to waste? If not, he remains silent. Modern application. In our age of constant noise, tweets, posts, arguments, Stoic speech is rare, but it is needed more than ever. The disciplined voice does not add to chaos, but brings clarity. It does not inflame anger, but calms it. It does not boast, but teaches. Imagine if each of us spoke with Stoic discipline. Fewer lies, fewer fights, fewer regrets. Conversation would become meaningful, dialogue constructive, communication honest. The dignity of measured words. There is a quiet power in the one who does not waste words. When he speaks, others listen. His silence commands more respect than another's noise. His few sentences carry the weight of paragraphs. Such is the fruit of discipline. Speech that is rare, but rich, measured, but mighty. To master words is to master influence. The Stoic disciplines his tongue not to hide, but to serve truth and virtue. In silence he finds strength. In speech he shares wisdom. And in both he shows freedom. Discipline of thought, guarding the mind against chaos. The mind is the citadel of the soul. Strong walls protect it from chaos. Weak walls let every fear and fantasy invade. The Stoics taught that if we do not discipline our thoughts, we surrender the very throne of our being. Epictetus said, "You may not control events, but you can control your judgments about them." Here lies the Stoic secret. The world does not disturb us. Our thoughts about the world do. The tyranny of wandering thoughts. Most people are prisoners of their minds. They replay insults from years past. They imagine disasters that never come. They chase fantasies that vanish on waking. An undisciplined mind is like a city without guards. Every thief enters. Anxiety steals peace. Desire steals focus. Anger steals clarity. Without discipline, the mind is not master, but victim. Stoic mental discipline. The Stoics train thought with rigor, as an athlete trains the body. Marcus Aurelius filled his meditations with reminders, writing to himself each morning and evening to keep his mind aligned with reason. Their practices included daily reflection. Write and examine the day. What thoughts served virtue? What thoughts wasted time? Thought filtering. Ask, is this within my control? Is this in line with reason? If not, Cast it aside. Mental focus. Attend to the present moment, not past regrets or future fears. Guarding against illusion. The Stoics warned against being deceived by appearances. Wealth looks like happiness. Power looks like freedom. Pleasure looks like fulfillment. But thought, disciplined by reason, sees through the illusion. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." How often do we torment ourselves with worries that never arrive? How often do we live not in life, but in fear of life? The Stoic mind resists such waste. The practice of reframing discipline does not deny thought, it redirects it. A problem becomes practice, a setback becomes training, an insult becomes a chance to strengthen patience. By reframing, the Stoic turns burdens into lessons. The mind becomes an alchemist, transforming every circumstance into wisdom. Modern application of thought. Discipline today, distractions multiply, notifications, news, endless feeds. The untrained mind scatters, chasing every flicker of stimulation. The Stoic response is deliberate focus. Limit noise. Step away from constant media. Schedule thought. Set time for reflection, for study, for planning. Meditate briefly. Even a few minutes of silence restores clarity. Question the thought. Before believing, ask, is this true? Is this useful? The strength of inner freedom. The disciplined thinker cannot be enslaved. Insults do not shake him, because his judgment does not grant them power. Loss does not ruin him, because he does not dwell in fear. Chaos may roar outside, but within, his mind is fortress, still, ordered, free. Marcus Aurelius urged himself, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." To guard thought is to guard life itself, the fruit of disciplined thought. Calmness, free from needless worry. Clarity, seeing things as they are, not as fear paints them. Focus, energy directed where it matters. Wisdom, judgments aligned with reason and virtue. This is not coldness, but strength. A disciplined mind does not reject imagination or feeling. It places them in service of truth. The mind is our last freedom. If undisciplined, it enslaves us. If disciplined, it liberates us. The Stoic therefore trains thought each day as carefully as a warrior sharpens his blade. For in the battle of life, victory begins within. Discipline of purpose, walking the straight path of meaning. Life is short, but distractions are endless. Many rise early, work tirelessly, and chase ambition. Yet in the end, they realize they have run far, but in circles. The Stoics warned, busyness without purpose is the greatest waste of all. Seneca wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." To discipline life is to discipline purpose, to walk straight rather than wander. The illusion of ambition. The world tells us success is measured in wealth, fame, status. We chase promotions, possessions, applause. Yet when gained, they feel hollow. Why? Because they were never true ends, only glittering distractions. The Stoics observed this trap long ago. Marcus Aurelius, emperor of Rome, confessed in his meditations that power and glory are dust. Fame is but smoke, and the applause of men is a whisper carried by the wind. Discipline of purpose means refusing to be ruled by hollow ambitions. It means asking not, what will impress others, but what will make me truly good? Living aligned with virtue. For the Stoics, the only true purpose is to live in harmony with reason and virtue. Wealth, health, reputation, these may come or go, but virtue once chosen is always within your control. Epictetus taught, First say to yourself what you would be, then do what you must do. Purpose begins with clarity of character, deciding what kind of person you aim to be. Discipline then is the daily act of living accordingly. The power of saying no. To guard purpose is to guard against distraction. Every yes to triviality is a no to meaning. The Stoic learns to decline opportunities, requests, temptations that do not serve the path. Without this discipline, life is scattered. With it, life is straight, like an arrow flying to its mark. Practices of purpose discipline, daily alignment. Each morning ask, what is essential for me today? And live it. Examine motives. Before action, ask, am I serving virtue or vanity? Set limits. Define clear goals and reject the endless noise beyond them. Reflect nightly. Review if the day moved you closer to purpose or pulled you away. The burden of aimlessness, an undisciplined life may be full of motion, but empty of direction. People rush, stress, compete, and still feel lost. The Stoics compared such living to a ship with torn sails, moved by every wind, but never arriving. Discipline anchors the soul. It keeps the wheels steady, no matter the storm. The modern need for purpose. In our age, distractions multiply. Social media, consumerism, shallow goals. Many spend decades climbing ladders only to discover they leaned against the wrong wall. Stoic discipline reminds us, ask not how to live longer, but how to live better. Purpose is not quantity of years, but quality of direction, the strength of a disciplined purpose. The one who has purpose cannot be broken. Wealth may vanish, but his goal remains. Friends may betray, but his virtue stands. Even death does not terrify him, for he has lived deliberately. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And you have the power to revoke this at any moment. Purpose gives this power, clarity against confusion, direction against chaos. The fruit of purpose focus, energy spent on what matters, peace, no envy, for he walks his own path, resilience. Storms may come, but he knows his destination, meaning life is not wasted, for it is lived deliberately. Discipline of purpose is the art of living straight, not chasing every glitter, not bending to every call, but walking steadily toward virtue. The Stoic does not ask, what will I gain? But who will I become? And in that becoming, he finds freedom. Discipline in death, memento mori, and the art of living. Death is life's only certainty. Empires fall, riches fade, bodies weaken, names are forgotten. The Stoics did not hide from this truth. They embraced it. They practiced memento mori. Remember, you must die. But this was not despair. It was discipline. To remember death is to sharpen life. The fear of death, most people live as if immortal. They delay dreams, waste time, drown in trivialities. Yet when death approaches, they panic, regret, and mourn wasted years. Seneca warned, it is not that we have a short life, but that we waste it. Death is not the tragedy. Living poorly is. The undisciplined fear death because they have not truly lived. Death as a teacher. For the Stoics, death is not enemy, but instructor. It whispers, do not waste this day. Do not delay what matters. Do not chase illusions. Marcus Aurelius, emperor surrounded by war and plague, reminded himself daily, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do, say, and think. To live with death in mind is to live with urgency, focus, and depth. The discipline of acceptance. We cannot bargain with death. It comes to kings and beggars alike. But discipline transforms fear into acceptance. Death is natural, part of the same order that gave us life. Why resist what is universal? Epictetus taught, I cannot escape death, but I can escape the fear of it. Acceptance is not surrender, it is liberation. Memento mori in practice. Morning reflection. Begin the day with gratitude. I may not see another sunrise. Let me use this one well even in review. End the day as if it were your last. Did you live with virtue or with waste? Simplify choices. Ask, if today were my last, would this matter? Most distractions vanish. Courage in action. Fear fades when you remember. We all share the same end. The paradox of death. Those who fear death die many times in their mind. Those who accept it live fully while alive. Discipline allows us to see death not as thief, but as companion, walking beside us, reminding us to value each breath. Seneca wrote, "He who has learned how to die has unlearned how to be a slave. For the one who is ready, nothing can be taken." Modern application. In our culture, death is hidden, sanitized, delayed, denied. Yet anxiety and emptiness grow. The Stoic path is different. Face it directly. When stressed, remember, soon all will be gone. Why waste energy on this? When tempted by vanity, recall, fame fades faster than life itself. When afraid to act, whisper, I will die anyway. Let me live with courage. The gift of mortality. Kephanon is not curse, it is gift. Because we will die, each moment matters. Because time is finite, meaning is possible. Because death closes the book, we must write each page with care. The Stoic does not seek immortality in years, but eternity in moments well lived. Memento mori is not about dying, it is about living. To discipline the mind with death is to free it from fear, to sharpen it for virtue, to awaken it to gratitude. Death is the end, but remembering it is the beginning of wisdom. Discipline of community, serving beyond the self. Man was not born for himself alone. The Stoics saw clearly, a life lived only for private pleasure is small, but a life lived for service is vast. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "What brings no benefit to the hive brings none to the bee." To discipline the self is noble. To extend that discipline into community is greater still. The nature of human bonds. The Stoics taught that we are all citizens of the same cosmos, rich and poor, ruler and servant, Roman and foreigner, each is part of one great body. To harm another is to harm oneself, for we share the same breath, the same fate. Discipline of community means remembering this truth daily. It is refusing to let pride, anger, or selfishness sever the bonds of fellowship. Selfishness as disorder. The undisciplined live for self alone. They hoard, they exploit, they ignore. Such living breeds isolation, resentment, and emptiness. Seneca warned, no man can live happily who looks only to himself. Selfishness is chaos. Discipline restores order by aligning private will with the common good. Service as discipline for the Stoics. Service is not charity, it is duty. To serve is to fulfill one's nature as a rational, social being. Just as the eye serves by seeing and the hand by grasping, so a person serves by aiding others. Epictetus taught, what are you? A human being. If you consider yourself such, remember your role is to work for your fellows. Practical habits of communal discipline. Act with justice. Give others what is due, fairness, respect, honesty. Restrain selfish desires. Ask not only, what do I want, but what is good for all. Practice kindness. Even small acts, listening, helping, forgiving, strengthen the community. Contribute through work. Whatever your labor, see it as service, not just gain. Conflict and patience. Community inevitably brings conflict. People offend, disappoint, betray. The Stoic disciplines himself not to meet anger with anger, but ignorance with patience. Marcus Aurelius reminded, "When you wake each morning, expect to meet interference, ingratitude, arrogance, but remember they are kin, sharing in reason and divine spark." Discipline in community means enduring flaws without hatred, guiding others by example rather than rage. The balance of service and self. To serve does not mean to dissolve. Stoic service is balanced, caring for others without neglecting the self, giving without losing virtue, aiding without becoming enslaved to approval. True service flows from strength, not weakness. Modern need for communal discipline. In our time, individualism is glorified. Follow your desire, live for yourself is the creed. Yet loneliness deepens, division spreads. The Stoic way reminds us, freedom without service is emptiness. A disciplined community is one where each member acts for the whole, where justice and compassion guide choices. Imagine if discipline of community ruled our world, leaders serving with humility, citizens acting with fairness, neighbors supporting neighbors. Wars would shrink, trust would grow, peace would blossom. The fruit of serving, beyond the self-meaning. Life gains weight when tied to others. Strength. Communities endure what individuals cannot. Peace. The disciplined know they have given, not only taken. Legacy. Service leaves footprints beyond one's own life. The disciplined Stoic knows the self is too small a kingdom. True greatness comes when the walls fall and the soul serves the larger whole. To live for others is not loss, it is gain beyond measure. For the hive and the bee are one. Discipline of consistency, the daily forge of character. A mountain is not formed in a night, nor is a man of virtue. Greatness is not born of one heroic act, but of countless small acts repeated faithfully. The Stoics knew this. Discipline without consistency is illusion. Seneca wrote, "It is not the occasional good deed that makes the man, but the constant practice. The undisciplined act well when inspired, then fall when weary. The disciplined remain steady, like the sun, rising each day without fail." The nature of consistency. Most people live in bursts. They begin with passion, then abandon with fatigue. They chase novelty, but shun endurance. Their lives are a string of starts without endings. The Stoic rejects this instability. He understands that what we do daily shapes who we are permanently. Each repetition engraves character as drops of water carve stone. The forge of habits. Consistency is the forge of the soul. Good habits, repeated, form armor against chaos. Bad habits, indulged, form chains around the will. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily of patience, humility, and reason. Not once, not occasionally, but every morning, every night. For he knew, without constant sharpening, the sword dulls. The discipline of small steps. Discipline in consistency is not grand, it is humble. Waking early even when weary. Writing a page though the mind resists. Choosing patience though anger tempts. Practicing gratitude though the day feels bitter. Each act seems small, but together they form an unbreakable chain. Resisting the illusion of sudden change. The undisciplined hope for transformation in a day. They seek shortcuts, secrets, sudden power. But Stoicism teaches, the soul is not remade overnight. It is sculpted stroke by stroke, day by day. Epictetus told his students, no man becomes great suddenly. He must train daily. To desire results without consistency is to crave harvest without planting. Practices of consistency. Daily routines. Anchor the day with reflection, morning and evening. Measure progress, not perfection. Ask only, did I improve, however slightly? Resist excuses. Do the duty, whether mood welcomes or resists. Embrace repetition. See each repeat not as boredom, but as strength building. The test of fatigue. Consistency shines brightest not on easy days, but on weary ones. To act well when inspired is pleasant. To act well when drained is discipline. The Stoics embraced struggle as proof of growth, just as the athlete thanks the heavy weight for shaping muscle. Modern application. In our world of instant results, patience is rare. We demand quick fixes, viral success, overnight mastery. Yet all that endures is built slowly. A disciplined life rejects the myth of sudden greatness and embraces the quiet strength of steady progress. Study a little each day rather than cram once. Exercise regularly instead of chasing sudden fitness. Practice calmness daily, not only in crisis. Consistency is slow, but it is invincible. The fruit of steadiness, resilience. Habits sustain when passion fades. Trust. Others know your word holds, your actions endure. Strength. Repetition builds muscle of body and soul. Legacy. Daily choices accumulate into a life unshakable. The Stoic disciplines himself not for a day, but for a lifetime. For character is not written in bursts of fire, but carved in the steady flame that never dies. To be consistent is to be free from moods, from whims, from the chains of inconsistency. The eternal legacy of discipline. Every man dies, but not every man truly lives. Wealth fades, monuments crumble, names are forgotten. Yet something endures beyond the body, the shape of one's character, the impact of one's discipline. The Stoics lived not for fame, but for virtue, and yet their discipline has outlived empires. Marcus Aurelius's meditations still guide souls. Epictetus's words still strengthen the weak. Seneca's letters still awaken minds. They are gone, yet their disciplined lives echo through centuries. What outlasts? Death gold rusts, marble cracks, dynasties fall. But a disciplined soul leaves a different monument. Example: a life lived with courage, restraint, justice, and wisdom becomes a torch carried by those who follow. Seneca wrote, "Life is long if you know how to use it. Use it with discipline, and you carve meaning into the fabric of time." The true inheritance. Parents leave wealth to children, rulers leave statues to nations. But the greatest inheritance is unseen, the memory of a life well lived. The disciplined man teaches not by speeches, but by example. His patience outlives him. His honesty shapes others. His courage becomes story. His service becomes seed. The legacy of virtue. Discipline of desire leaves the legacy of freedom from greed. Discipline of speech leaves the legacy of truth and trust. Discipline of thought leaves the legacy of clarity. Discipline of community leaves the legacy of justice and kindness. Discipline of purpose leaves the legacy of direction for others to follow. Together, these weave a tapestry stronger than marble, the Stoics' eternal mark. Beyond applause. The undisciplined crave applause, but applause dies with the crowd. The disciplined live quietly, but their impact grows in silence. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be." Be one discipline does not seek legacy, yet legacy comes. For a life lived with integrity cannot be erased. Modern reflection. In a world chasing recognition, the Stoic asks, what will endure? Not the follower count, not the fleeting praise, not the shallow trophies. What endures is the disciplined life, measured, steady, true. Each of us writes a legacy daily, in choices small and large. Will it be chaos, or will it be discipline? Will it be noise, or will it be music? The silent monument. The greatest monument needs no stone. It is the memory of someone who lived wisely, loved justly, spoke truth, endured hardship, and walked with purpose. Such a monument cannot fall, for it is built in the souls of others. Seneca's body lies in dust, but his words still breathe, so it can be with us. Discipline ensures that when breath ceases, meaning continues. The call of discipline. Discipline is not chains, it is wings. It lifts life above pettiness, beyond fear, beyond death. It shapes not only today, but tomorrow, not only the self, but the world. The Stoics remind us, death is certain, but legacy is choice. Discipline is the brush, life is the canvas, virtue is the image left behind. This is the eternal fruit of discipline, a life that echoes beyond its end. Empires fall, but virtue stands. Bodies fade, but character remains. Time devours all, yet the disciplined carve meaning into eternity.